and go, girl.
Shorty, it's your birthday.
Not gonna start. It's your birthday. There go your music, honey. There go your music.
Yes. Ooh. And then it's so funny when it slow down a little bit. Hey.
I know, right? Act is bad. And you be so on it too.
You know, as soon as you chose it, I was like, yes. Change my glasses. Need some glasses where I can see. I can see now. Hey guys.
But you by yourself for a little while.
Thank you for tuning in. We're just listening to this music a little longer. That's so.
I was like, was she by herself for a little while?
Yeah, look, I can keep dancing. I mean, I don't know
All
what
right
you
now.
want me to do, but
I already know. Listen. Hey guys, how are y'all? Listen, let me tell you something. That's because tonight get ready to be so amazing. This is why that we're gonna have some little technical issues. So I just want y'all to know that y'all know me. I be on location. I be on location.
It's the truth.
It's the truth. I be on location. So look, I've been in the car, we riding, but when I tell y'all, let me tell y'all something about tonight.
I
Tonight
don't know what
is
is going on
about
today, but it's okay.
to
You
be
already know.
yeah, it's about to be on and popping. Let me tell you.
It's okay.
It's about to be on and popping. Yep.
We
So
gonna get through
we
this. I
got
promise you we will.
yes, we do. We got our guest already in and he is waiting to come on. But I'm gonna do like the most brief introduction, right, Key? Because he is gonna
Yes.
be able to introduce himself. And this about to be amazing, right? We
Yeah.
about to help. First of all, he gonna help us.
Yes. Oh my
Then
goodness.
I am praying, and I already know all the people that will be touched and helped and healed. I'm just so excited. Pastor Kervance Ross, he is my friend, my brother. He is one of the pastors of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church. He has a men's ministry called the Sanctuary. I just it's so much I could say about him, but I'm gonna let him say all that good stuff about his own self. So,
Right.
Mr. Kervance Ross, sir,
Yo,
oh my
what's up?
gosh. I'm so excited right now. You know you are my dude.
Hey, I am honored to be here. So glad to have the opportunity. Stacey, I think the world of you. She has literally been an angel in the outfield, where she has kept me alive.
I know that's right.
The gift of her angelic nursing. And I'm grateful for you, Kiki. It is an honor to be in your presence, and just grateful to be here. It's Wednesday. It's the first day of May. It's the best month of the entire 12 because, well, I mean, for obvious reasons, there are Tauruses in this month, and it happens to be 16 days away from a national, international, and universal holiday. My birthday. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Kiki,
did you say birthday?
Yeah,
right, Kiki, don't let that just kind of blow over. He just said an international holiday because it's about to be his birthday.
Holiday. It's universal. It's
I'm sorry.
Galaxies.
Universal.
It's in all of the constellations everywhere.
I love it. I absolutely love it. But Pastor Ross, please tell them a little bit about you before we get into questions.
I am excited to be graced with the gift of purpose. I go by the moniker, the Kingmaker. It is my purpose in life to touch at least 1 billion people before I die and help them obtain their optimum level of purpose, greatness, and success. I'm able to do that in the marketplace, in ministry, and in the mainstream. In the marketplace, my focus has been marketing, leadership, strategy, development, and people. I own a strategic marketing, branding, development firm, almost 2 decades now, employing 22 staffers in 10 states and 2 countries, helping every space in what would be the 7 kingdoms of both the Bible and the world. In ministry, simply meeting the needs of people. I get a chance to pastor the greatest people on the planet right alongside the greatest pastor on the planet, Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant. I happen to be the pastor of Internet Innovation and Member Care at New Birth Cathedral in Stonecrest, Georgia. Not just putting that space, but I have a men's ministry called the Sanctuary Marketplace Ministry for Men. We are about 18 months into it, and it's unique because we do it in a cigar bar on Monday night. We meet men right where they are. And in these 18 months, we've been blessed to touch 6,500 men. We've had the opportunity to be blessed to keep 2 men from committing suicide. And one of the greatest blessings is to hear wives and daughters hack into their husbands' phones, not because they're afraid he's creeping, but because they wanted to let me know that the light came back on in their husband and they're just grateful. And in the mainstream, it's about purpose. So relationship coaching, marital coaching, purpose coaching, leadership coaching, and developmental coaching. And just grateful to be clear on why I'm alive, and then have moments like this to help people stay alive who think it's time to turn off the live button. So I'm excited.
That was deep right there.
Right. I told you. It's about to be great. So we're not going to prolong the time. Key, I chose this topic, and we talked about it, Pastor Ross. How do you keep your mental health safe while going through this grief journey? And I did that for a few reasons. One, because and Kiki can kind of expound on it a little bit more of, when we're in this, where we're walking this journey, sometimes, work and life, it triggers the mental health, where we've been on this journey and we trying to keep our mental health safe, and we can't do a whole bunch of extra, because my favorite thing is I ain't able and I ain't stable. So you listen, you don't want, we can't cross over all the time. So Key, tell Pastor Ross about that, and then Pastor Ross, I want you to kind of help us through that mental health safe space.
Yes.
I mean, you did it.
Yeah.
You basically did it. I mean, you explained it all. I think he got it. No, but I mean, that's basically it. And especially through these holidays, and like she said, my beautiful sister, you know, see, it's crazy that we all say the same thing about you, woman. But yeah, you know, this grief journey is so fragile, and trying to maintain the mental health aspect of it, like she said, in our work life and our home life, you know, in the community, and still be able to function. And those triggers, you know, sometimes we need more tools to go in that toolbox that we could pull out when we need it. So could you let us know, like, your experience or the people you have come in contact with? Or could you speak on that, please?
Yeah, I before we even go any further, I need everybody who's watching on every single platform. If you know somebody who's taken a loss, I need you to tag them in the comments. I need you to be a virtual partner of planning for the better. I want you to connect with them, tag them, whether they're a friend, a family member, or get this, even a foe. I need you to tag them in the comments. And I want you to engage this by sharing it on your platform, because there are people who you influence that will only move because of you. As a result of that, I think we do a disservice to the flexibility of our mind. We have heard through the United Negro College Fund that a mind is a terrible thing to waste. People don't consider that a mind is a terrible thing to use when it is outside of purpose. Because when you're using your mind and not allowing it to be aligned with the assignment you have for your life, you then put your mind in a position where it is subject to the pain that is designed to promote you. Let me say it again. Your mind has to be aligned with purpose, because a lot of the things that we have gone through is pain that is purposeful. And if we don't recognize it, we will misalign it and assign it to this when it's really supposed to be assigned to that. The Bible in Romans 12:1 talks about a passage where this apostle is writing on behalf of people he wants to see made better. He says, I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable, which is a reasonable service. He starts with how you're going to navigate your body, how you're going to present it, and how you're going to sacrifice it as a reasonable service for your success to an all-powerful God. But it's verse 2 that changes it. He said, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed. Here it is, by the renewing of your mind. This in Greek talks about the term anakinesis, and it deals with continual renovation, which means every day your mind is like a house that is continually decaying. So every day of your journey, you have treacherous termites eating away at your thoughts. You have adversarial asbestos building up in your mind. And what this passage is saying is every day you got to renovate it by pulling the bad stuff out and then redesign it by putting good stuff in. We don't consider that sometimes the bad stuff is the things that have happened to us, the people we have lost, and the pain we haven't processed. So as a result, we have let it fester. When I was a kid, my great grandmother's house would be called a ranch, but it sat up on a slab, and right to the side of the house, there was a little door, and if you pressed it, it would pop open. And she would keep underneath the house where there was rocks and gravel. She'd keep her shovel. She would keep a rake. She would keep the grill up under there. But my grandmama's house in the South had a in-ground furnace. So every year, the furnace man had to come and light the pilot, and you'd hear it go off in the house. One day when they were lighting the pilot, right when the season was changing, they turned the heater on, and this amazing stench filled the house. Couldn't figure out what was going on. My grandmother, being from the country, went outside to the side of the house, pushed it, and when she looked up under there, it was a dead possum. And because the furnace had come on and something dead was under there, when the heat came on to warm it, it created a stench, and it minimized the impact of the heat because the smell was so bad. A lot of times that's what's happening in our mind, that we have dead things that have crawled up under our mindset. It is in our thalamus, our hypothalamus, our medulla oblongata, all of these moments, negative thoughts, fears, pain, and grief that was never pulled out is still there. And when purpose warms us up, when promotion puts us in a place where the pilot light comes on, you can't enjoy it because the stench of what was underground has now overshadowed the light and the heat of what has been assigned to you. So what you got to do is go back to Romans 12:2. You got to renew it every day. You got to put yourself around people who are in your ear gate telling you that you can overcome. You got to put things in your eyes that allow you to be able to read people who conquered, read people who overcame, receive positive interactions. You got to have an aroma of success around you. You have to speak positivity because all of these gates are allowing what's in your head to be processed. This is why every person, man or woman, has 7 holes in their head. You count them when you get home. The 7 holes that are even are your senses, your eyes, your ears, your nostrils. The odd hole is not a sense, it's your mouth. This is why when you don't use the even first before you use the odd, it always is figuratively said that you are speaking nonsense because you didn't use your sense to process the pain, the problems, the perspective, and the points of view that will allow your mind to say, today I want to be in darkness, but I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus. It is those moments where your mind says you can't, and because of what you put in, you now have to tell your mind, I'm more than a conqueror. I'm not just a conqueror, I'm more than. You have to put yourself with a therapist who can allow you to process it out and then give you outcomes to allow it to develop within, because you are daily renewing your mind. It is not something you have to tolerate. It's something that you have to train, get a grasp on, take authority over, and tell it, this day is what we're going to do. These are the thoughts. I am going to take dominion over it, because if you don't take over it, it'll take over you.
That's good. Yeah. You gotta breathe it in, but and to put a caveat on it, or should I say, sometimes when we are walking this journey, Pastor Ross, all of that, and I'm gonna do that devil advocate part. All that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds amazing.
Yes.
Yep. You tell it this what we're gonna do, but grief is disrespectful.
Yes.
Grief does what it wants to do, when it wants to do it, how it wants to do it. And sometimes we say all that and it still sits right in your lap. And you have no idea what to do to keep your mental health safe. So it's like, what do you do as a mother? Because, we've had fathers on, we've had, and Dr. Hendricks, so we had her on last week. And because our main thing here is to be able to say or do or have someone on that can help a mother, a father, a sister, a brother, a grandmother, a aunt, a uncle, whoever they are, not to take their life, or not to take a extra pill, or not to drink this pain away, because it's not going to do that. One of our sisters that was on, the voices told her to run herself in the street to get rid of the pain.
Yes.
So can you just speak a little more on, when we've said that? Because before, and people know that I didn't do counseling, but Kiki does. You know me well enough that I say, God is my source. That's where I go for comfort. That's where I go for my therapy. I do different things for therapy. I change my hair every week. I like having company and parties and entertaining, because it keeps me busy. But speak to the people that that don't work for.
Yeah, so I think we have to do a few things. This is a layered reality. And in that layered reality, it comes with spiritual, practical, and the painful. We got to remember that terminologies are big. So let me clarify. One that you're going to hear me use today is the word death. By definition, death literally just means to separate. So I want to park that there so that we can use that. We also, you've never heard this. You're not going to read this in a book. This is my personal revelation that I try to impart, because as member care and somebody who does funerals, eulogies on a regular basis, and who has experienced loss, I had to think through the critical reality of purpose. Because again, going back to the beginning, purpose is my purpose. So let's clear this. We've been using grief as a universal term when it is omni-generated, not uni-generated. Let me explain to you why that's important. Because in the New Testament, you will hear terms that state, when we're talking about death, we as Christians sorrow not like other people sorrow. It is a statement that says you will go through grief, you will go through loss, but because of who you're connected to, you have to find yourself putting time limits, developmental spaces, and release on it, because it is sorrow that they're talking about. It does not say we grieve not like other people. We got to realize that grief is the root terminology in the legal term grievance. So when there is a grievance between two people, that means that we disagree and there has not been a resolution brought. So as a result, you need a mediator to stand in between the grievance and come to a resolution. So when you think grief, you have to think the grief of death says that there was something that we were at odds in disagreement regarding, and death kept us from resolving it. So I have grief because there's an unfinished disagreement that death won't allow me to finish. So you'll see people that are grieving, dealing with different psychological, emotional, and physical responses because I'm grieving that I could have resolved this in life, and now death has cut off the resolution. So transparently, I have grief over my roommate that I had to go speak over a month ago. My college roommate passed, and my grief is every year he would call me and say, man, I see what you're doing. I'm a teacher. I want you to come talk to the young men. And I'd always say, man, we got time to do that. I got you. And now the men that he wanted me to talk to in his school were at the funeral while I'm talking about him. So I got a grievance because what I should have resolved before in life, I couldn't do it because death has showed up. The other side of this is sorrow. Sorrow says, I love you. I don't want to see you go, but your time through purpose has expired, and he wants you back while I want you to stay. The human reality is, I'm sorry that you leaving because I never wanted you to go nowhere. But I can't keep you because he wants you. You finished your course, and now I am dealing with the emotion of you leaving when I like you staying. What you've never heard anybody have a conversation about is sorrow counseling. Because what has happened is people who had issues with life have made everybody believe that when death shows up, you got the same problem. So we have now made it universal that when death happens, we all going through grief. We are not all going through grief. So why you got to say it a certain way is because you have ascribed a pain to you that may not be yours. So a lot of what you're dealing with is somebody else's unresolved issues. And because it has become a normal terminology, you now have put something on you that you weren't supposed to have on. So now what you got to turn around and do is you've got to navigate the humanity. You have to navigate the humanity that there is no okay for a parent to be able to get over losing what they birthed. I can't tell you nothing spiritual. I'm not finna try to tell you that there is a deep revelation. You have been assigned something that God thought was necessary for where you're headed, not where you came from. How does this navigate for a omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and omnibenevolent God, and all-seeing, all-knowing, everywhere, and all-loving God? How can he rationalize allowing me to go through that and tell me he loves me? Nobody has highlighted the fact that he's putting you through what he went through himself. Because you keep forgetting that before he created us, he saved us. He said, before the foundation of the world, I made sure that I knew you were going to be protected. So I put the cross for creation. For him to love us so much that he will create us by putting a cross and a salvific template there to give us an opportunity to not have to die and deal with the pain of our mistakes. Nobody considers that he had to bury his son. I need you to think about that. For Jesus to come to save us, his Father God had to release him to die. This was a love error in his makeup. He says, I love you so much that I'll sacrifice what I love so that you don't lose. So on the cross, what is happening is God has the same pain that Stacy has. Because he says, I know what it feels like to lose a child. He says, I know what it feels like so much that my child in his fourth utterance stops talking to me as a dad and starts talking to me as a savior. He says, God, why did you forsake me? Listen to this conversation. Dad, you've allowed me to be released to death. And you put me in a position to be human when I'm divine. He didn't just die physically, he died to his position in glory. And his dad has to deal with loss. The comfort there is that you serve a God who is familiar with your sorrow.
Wow.
And you now have to get in relationship with somebody who knows and couldn't give a name to it because he didn't know how to navigate the pain that he was getting ready to put you, allowing you to go through. So he says, I'll walk with you. I'll talk to you. Pray to me regularly. I know what you're feeling. This is a hard pill to swallow. But no matter what the case is, sometimes you're going to want to run out in the street. Sometimes you're going to want to rip your clothes off. Sometimes you ain't going to feel like being bothered. Sometimes you're going to need a joint and a drink. Sometimes you're going to be down. Sometimes you're going to be up. Sometimes you're going to be sad. Sometimes you're going to be happy. Unfortunately, I understand it, but I put you through it not because of you. You were not the priority. It was purpose that was the priority. Because when you realize what is happening to you is not an attack on you, it is an archer's bow to your assignment. So if you didn't take a loss, we wouldn't be on Hey, Let's Talk.
Wow.
If you didn't take a loss, you wouldn't have the impetus to talk to people who have the same pain. If you didn't take a loss, we would never meet, Stacy. You would be in a different place, in a different space. Kiki, you wouldn't be in this circumstance because life would not have driven you here because of what was separated from you. Sometimes separation makes the assignment clear when connection made it crooked. You gotta see that it's bigger than the loss when there's a gain. Because when you lose, you teach people lessons, you talk it out. You just gave people a remedy, not for losing a son, but you help people navigate how to navigate losing purpose, losing ambition, losing vision. Because some people didn't have a child to die, but they had vision to die.
Yes.
They had a relationship with God to die. And it took you having a tangible death to help them understand the terminal death that they got to resurrect if you didn't have the dialogue. Sometimes he just uses pain as a picture for promotion.
Wow. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
So to go back, it's no easy remedy. It's a process. And everybody's process is different. You're going to want to pull your hair out sometimes. You're going to want to throw your hands up in the classic gesture of despair. You ain't going to want to go to church all the time. You ain't going to want to talk to God all the time. Because sometimes your sorrow is because of what you lost, but your grief is because of God. Because my issue is with him. So I'm not really mad at the loss. I'm mad that you allowed it. So now I'm sorry about what I lost, but I'm grieving about the relationship I still got to maintain.
Yes.
And nobody want to talk about sometimes God makes us mad.
Woo.
That part.
Sometimes God frustrates us. Sometimes God ticks us off. That is a reality. And based off of the generation you come from, they said don't question God, because grandmama saw him as a powerful force. She never saw him as a personal father. So now I'm gonna tick Kinley Rose off sometime. The older she get, the more I'm gonna tick her off, the more I'm gonna frustrate her, the more I'm gonna agitate her. That's not stopping me from being dad. That is expected because I am dad.
Absolutely.
So you gotta navigate the reality that some of this is just par for the course.
Whew. We got some lessons today.
Yes.
Some reality checks. And this was needed because sometimes this is heavy. But we haven't lost our vision, because we still get on here every Wednesday, regardless of what we've gone through throughout the week. And I can honestly say, and I'm being transparent right now, I've been struggling because I do so much work for my mental health and try to pour into people and all of that. But yet I have another force that's just like a lot of negativity then. So I'm like, how can I stay in this space of negativity when I'm working so hard on this side to keep this straight?
Yeah.
So that tug of war.
Yeah. Kiki, I have to tell you, ministry is meeting the needs of people. Some people think it comes with a traditional pulpit and a large sanctuary, not realizing on your purpose journey, the world is your sanctuary. And in those spaces, when you're really called to do something, you're not authentically called if you haven't been burned by the assignment. What you're going through is, to be a pastor, you have to live in a bipolar existence.
Oh.
I am sacred and secular. I'm hood and holy. There are moments where I'm bouncing between two worlds. I literally preach to you about my pain. I talked about living a way that I gotta fight as soon as I get through with the close of the message. That while I'm encouraging you, sometimes I can't encourage myself. This is the omniscience of God. He is so all-seeing and all-knowing that his thoughts ain't like our thoughts. His ways aren't like our ways. So when you try to rationalize, how can you use me and then I feel used up at the same time? Again, this is one of those moments where we got to be very matter of fact, because we've heard people say, God used me. God used me, Lord. It has to now force us to think, does God want to use us, or does he want to dwell in us? Because I would never tell Kinley Rose, I want to use you. I want you to represent me, because using you has a discarding moment.
Yes.
Once I use you, I'm done with you. This is now where we have to be very matter of fact what comes out of our mouth. That's why it says life and death is in the power of the tongue. You now have to verbalize to God, God, I want to represent you. I want you to dwell in me, and I want you to sit on the throne. Why is that important? Because we are a trichotomy. We are body, mind, and spirit. Or we are body, soul, and spirit. Psyche, summa, pneuma. It is putting you in the place where your spirit doesn't have any authority that your mind doesn't give it. That's why your mind can say on a snowy day in winter, on Wednesday, I'm still going to get up and go to work, but on Sunday, I'm going to stay in the bed. Because your mind has said this job is important. No matter how bad the weather is, we better get up. But God ain't. So I'm going to stay asleep, because you haven't put your mind in submission to your spirit. You put it in submission to your job and your resources. So now what you have to relegate within yourself I am a human. I got an assignment that I don't really like sometimes. I have a call that sometimes I want to quit. If you're a pastor and preaching and leading people, and my senior pastor says this to me all the time, and haven't quit at least every quarter, you're probably not called. Because every 3 months you gotta think, man, I want to walk away from this. This too much. That's your assignment, forces you sometimes that it makes you have to deal with you. Because you can't sell what you don't own. So if I ain't went through it and possessed it, I can't give it away. So how do you preach about overcoming if you don't overcome? You talking about overcoming, that means that at some point I had to undercome. I had to be deficient to be a conqueror. I had to be weak to be strong. I had to crawl to be comfortable walking. Now, when I learn how to walk, the older I get, I don't want to walk, I try to drive. I have the capacity. I have the ability. I want to be in good shape, but every time I go to do good, cookies call me. It's the bipolar existence. I'm working out, and then I leave working out and go get KFC. It's every facet of life. We just compounded to one space that causes us pain, when really it's the consistency and continuity of life. That, hey, I have allowed some stuff to die in my life, and there are some things that were supposed to die that I kept alive. So sometimes you got to realize, here it is, you're not going to like it. God will remove what you love to get you where he wants you to be. See, this is that protective separation. He does this in Isaiah 6. Isaiah is in a situation where his daddy has died. The man he loves, the man he looks up to, the man who provides him with everything he needs, his daddy dies. And his uncle, based off of culture, has to step in and take his daddy's position. His uncle happens to be a king. And the problem with somebody stepping in that has not been validated for the assignment to replace is that you can put them in positions they don't belong. So Uzziah now becomes God in Isaiah's life, when removing his dad would have allowed him to see God for himself. So every time he wanted something from God, he didn't pray to God, he just went to Uzziah. He got pain, he go to Uzziah's doctor. He needs transportation, he jumps in Uzziah's Bentley. He needs clothes, he goes to Uzziah's tailor. He never calls God. So this is what God does. He removes Uzziah. Because 3 weeks ago we had a solar eclipse. Uzziah was the moon, and Isaiah couldn't see the sun, and it was noontime. It was the high point in his life, and it was dark. Because somebody was blocking his view. Uzziah was supposed to reflect the light of the sun, and he's blocking it. Sometimes he has to get what you value out of the way so that you can value him. You'll forget, hey, God, this pain keeps me praying. This loss keeps me locked in. This hurt keeps me wanting to get healed. These are those moments, and in it, that's why the Bible says, in everything give thanks, and then for everything give thanks. I get in it, and I'm thankful that he's still sustaining me.
Yes, Lord.
I thank him for it because he gave me something that I really didn't deserve, and I had a chance to enjoy it, but I didn't think that it was long enough. But still, for it and in it, I'm thankful. That's a different level of purpose. And sometimes it has steps to it that we got to walk up, as the old preacher would say, step by step, round by round.
Mm-hmm. Well, sir, as always, you know, I'm just forever grateful for the friendship, the the relationship that God has allowed us to have. You know, one thing I can say, even though I don't have to tap into my husband's phone, I know that your ministry at the sanctuary has definitely touched my husband like nothing else. Like it is absolutely amazing to me, and I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative of what God has put in you that then you give to us. I'm so grateful that you were available. You made yourself available tonight. Reading comments as you were talking, and um, it's just amazing to me that me and Key been on this journey the exact same time for the exact same years, same days, same hours, since 2016, and every time someone else can say something different that then puts a new light on this journey. And this is the purpose of this podcast, whether 100 people see it, 2 people see it, for you to set just the difference between grief and sorrow. That's all that right there. You ain't have to say nothing else for me.
And I never heard of
Because,
those two.
yes, I never put it in that perspective. Because the sorrow is what is the heaviest. For I'm sorry you left. I had no intention for you to leave me. The sorrow is what I walk with every day. Yes, my grievance with God is something different. But I never put those two in a different box. They were it's all the same for me. And that's why to have another perspective, because what we want people to know is that we're not licensed, we're not professionals, but we know this walk. We know this journey because we have to live it. So what I can tell you, how I deal with it, how I grieve, how I whether I do therapy or not, whether I had to take medicine or not, whatever that was, I need you to hear it on a different perspective. Because as Kiki said, every Wednesday that we get on here, we open up again. So for the next 6 days, I shut it off if I can. Because I know on Wednesday I got to open up again. But that's what God told me I was supposed to do. And sometimes I don't even know why he said it. But the crazy thing is, you said to like if I hadn't had the loss, there would be no Hey Let's Talk. If I hadn't had the loss, we definitely would not have crossed paths. I would be in a whole different direction. So whatever this purpose is, where I have to go, who I have to see, so Key, that point of you got something on this side and you got the negative on this side is because of our journey, because of your purpose, because it ain't always gonna be how you want it, but you gotta talk to them anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta smile at them anyway. You gotta minister to them anyway, even when we're not in our best day.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. I appreciate you. I'm not gonna hold you no longer.
No. Let me say, I was honored and humbled, Kiki, Stacy, for the opportunity, because my heart is apologetic for the church being so cliche in your lives. We say stuff like "earth has no sorrow." That word is, again, it's not no earth has no grief. Earth has no sorrow that heaven can't heal. And nobody ever says healing has to hurt first. I can't allow heaven to heal it if I don't deal with hurt. And it's real easy to talk about, you love them, but God loved them best, and I'm going home to my child. We say stuff that's dismissive of the right now because we can retain what we're talking about. It gives me compassion to be able to talk about it to people who can live it and teach it from the voice that the ears that they've been called to can only hear. As I close it, Stacy said something to me several months ago that shook me to my core. She said, I don't know if you understand, there's a terminology for every type of person who takes a loss, but a mother or a father who loses a child. They haven't figured out what to call us. You can be a widow, a widower, you lose a spouse, but ain't no term for the mother or the dad who buries a child. And I've been wrestling with that. And until you said what you said, God didn't give me clarity. That at the cross, talked about God having to bury his child, but nobody wants to talk about Mary having to watch her son die. Because both of them are burying a son based off of government minority policing. So both of their sons died by corporal punishment in some shape, form, or fashion. He was Black, he was winning too hard, and the system tried to kill him. So the daddy has to watch him from a distance, and the mother has to watch him at his feet while he's dying. Nobody has ever talked about the grief and the sorrow Mary has, because you gave me a seed I didn't ask for. You messed up my marriage while I was in the engagement space. You embarrassed my name in the community carrying this, and then you kill it in its developmental stages. He's just 33. You made me watch him when you assigned him to me, and you think it's okay. And I don't know how to navigate moving forward. I was ghetto fabulous and a teenage mother. I was 16 from the hood, and you allowed me to go through it. And I watched him develop and then grow to the savior of the world. And then you took him. Nobody wants to talk about, yeah, he got up and went back to his daddy, but he left his mama.
That part right there.
Talk about that his father recoups him, but his mama still got to deal with loss.
My goodness, today.
Nobody is having a conversation about how does Mary navigate because she got other children, but nobody talks about the one she lost. And Mary says, they don't have a name for me.
That's right.
Until you realize that they have a name that you never realized. It's called like God. Because I'm so much like God that he'll take from me in the prime to promote me in the future. He'll allow me to deal with pain that will draw people to me and give me the glory simply because they know that I still sustain even when I retain and take what they value. I'll put you in somebody else's hands because he says on the cross, mother, behold your son, son, behold your mother. I will even secure you in your suffering. And I'll give you the recognition to embrace that even though you might not like me right now, even though you might not be okay with me right now, my grace is still sufficient for you. I'm going to still allow you to see me in your life. It closes with this. It's the story of how they make 24 karat gold. They put it in a smeltering pot and they drop the coal in there. And the refiner's job is to keep looking over in the pot. And every time it sees the scum coming off of it, the way that they know that the gold is pure is if it can see the reflection of its face in the pot. And if he keeps looking over and he realizes he can't see his face, he turns the fire up. And he's trying to burn off the impurities. So until the impurities completely burn off, he keeps turning the fire up. And one time, the refiner looks over into the smeltering pot and can see his face. This is when he knows the gold is pure. There's a story of a woman, to tie that in, that had a dream one day. She was young, she was beautiful, she was just an amazing looking woman. And she went to church every day. She was the first person there, she's the last person to leave. She had beautiful hair, she had beautiful features, beautiful body. And all of a sudden one day, her body was stricken with a mean disease. Her beautiful hair fell out, her eyes got dim, her teeth decayed, and she's on her sick bed and trying to ask God, why did you put me through this? And he took her in a dream to a diamond cutter, and it was a huge diamond. And she's watching on the other side, and the diamond cutter keeps cutting the diamond. It takes this huge diamond and cuts it down to a small nugget, and she couldn't take it no more. He said, why would you take that huge diamond and cut it down to that small nugget? He said, that's easy, young lady. He says, because this diamond has to go down in the king's crown. And it can't have no flaws on it. It can't have no defects on it. So I cut it not as a punishment, but for perfection. When God looks at people like you and looks in your heart and can't see his face, he keeps turning up fire. Sometimes it burns off people you love. It burns off thoughts that you thought you ought to have. It burns off relationships you ought to keep. He's just trying to perfect you and make you 24 karat gold. While he's cutting on you, you think, God, I'm better as a big diamond, not realizing that the VVS, the flawless nature he's trying to get you to, is to be able to wear you and say, look where I brought her from. All she's gone through, all she's navigated, I cut on her. She don't look like she used to look, but look where he brought me from. Stay encouraged. It hurts right now. It's hot right now. It's frustrating right now. He's just trying to look in your soul, look in your heart and see his face. And he knows that one day you're going to be in his crown. And he'll be able to say, I have allowed you to endure hardness as a good soldier. Keep fighting, good soldier. We right at you.
Thank you for not only sharing and speaking to us from a spiritual point of view, but I'm so humbled and I'm so happy that you spoke to those that does not feel like talking to God right now.
Yeah.
I thank you. I thank you because so many people want to say pray about it. So many people want to say everything spiritual. But when you're not in that space, you spoke to those people today as well. So I thank you. And please know that you have to come back.
Anytime you tell me I'm coming, I'm there already. The answer is already yes.
Oh my gosh, this was so amazing.
It was so great. It was so amazing. I just want to thank everybody that tuned in, everybody that had a comment, everybody that just took time to sit and listen. And I hope that you got everything that you needed, because I know me and Key got everything we needed for the night. I promise you. I promise. Pastor Ross,
yo,
as always, sir, I love you much. I appreciate you so much. We definitely will have you back, and that's it. It's nothing else for me to say. I appreciate you. We will end on that note. I love y'all.
We got to groove to the music. Come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Her music, Pastor Ross. I don't even know why. Listen, I don't know why she like these little feet Dutch. I have no idea.
Play your music.
Right.
Play it.
I can't. Well, it's been real, and we appreciate you. I love y'all.
Love y'all.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Listen.